With GT6 servers ending on March 28th, that's gonna make a whole heck of a heap of GT fans disappointed, ain't it? And it might just might be in PD's best interest to try to please those GT fans they might very well lose after GT6 Online ends. This is just my opinion, but I think a good way of doing that is add more old tracks to the game. We got some old cars in the 110 update, that's nice. Maybe we could get some tracks? Maybe. This is definitely something. I don't know if it's something good, but it's something. Let's look into it. Oh, great. The very first word I see in this is complaint. People are complaining about the track list. Remaining Gran Turismo Gaming today this featured the tracks like Deep Forest and Grand Valley, Trial Mountain, and Midfield was a GT6 free DLC. I remember that too. Midfield isn't mentioned here, but GT6 got old tracks as DLC. Wink, wink. Anyway, moving on. Anyway, yeah, so all those have been in the old ones. Yeah, just like there's been Nissan Skylines and all the old ones, we got them. We should get the new tracks. It makes sense. So, moving on. The signals from before the game's release is burn it to the ground. I absolutely hate that phrase of passing. It's one of the worst phrases, if not the worst phrase, that PD has used to market anything that shouldn't ever be anything to market ever. Whatever. This article literally started out with the word complaints, so I ain't gonna go there. I'll try to make this positive. Even though the title even kind of made it 50-50, I'm gonna attempt to make this positive because my last video was negative and rightfully so, and I'll try to keep hope. Try to keep hope. Moving on. Treating GT Sport as a new beginning. Yay, that's positive. Let's just move on. New beginning. Yeah. When we caught up with Kaz recently, we were able to put the question him about the new stuff. And when it's like, why it's not in the game. Thankfully, Kaz confirms that it wasn't a conscious uncoupling. I guess separating? It ain't really separating, given that we don't have any singular one, but whatever. We might get one or more. Who knows? Let's read this and see if we can figure it out. There is no particular reason for it. It's very broad. I'll just continue. He explains we're already working on Deep Forest. Yay! Working on 2022? I'll continue. We actually have the data for Deep Forest that runs on Sport. Yay. But it does have some problems. Of course it does. And okay, I'm gonna have to go a bit negative here. They only mention Deep Forest. They say they have the data, which could mean a whole heck of a heap of stuff. And they say there's still some problems. For one track that they have the data of. What does data mean? I mean, I'll continue maybe to explain more. And there's the good old days of the last game that's already ending. Moving on. It's a little surprise that Kaz would, it's a little surprise, not a little. It's a little. Yeah, that makes sense. Kaz likes Deep Forest. Yeah, it's one of the original tracks. Okay, sure. Okay, this is actually important, isn't it? This is actually going to explain some stuff, is it? The problem that we had with some of the older tracks from previous Gran Turismo games was that the scale being off in certain places. The scale? What, like you want Deep Forest to be bigger? Or... That's pretty vague too. I'll just leave that alone for now. Maybe they'll explain it more in detail what they mean by scale. The size of the... This ain't... I'm just gonna pause here. TR. Please be track. Please be... Don't be what... Oh no. I can't. I can't. trees are too big. Come on, PD! How can anyone take you seriously when your excuse for not making a track in the game is the trees are too big? That's seriously what you're talking about when you say scale of a track? It's not that you could just make it on a cliche grander scale, like kind of what they did with the Dragon Trail, making the helicopters and the balloons and all that. The trees are too big. That's the problem. They're too big. I'm not going to be able to get over that. By scale, I thought they meant either the literal size of the track or just amount of cool stuff on the track, like the planes, trains, and automobiles, like the helicopters, the literal trains, and the sideline automobiles. Those two things make sense. Trees don't! Or, God, what's going to be beyond the or? Or the width of the curbstones, that's slightly more tolerable than trees. I have physically seen them change around the curbstones, meaning the apexes, like that, pretty much. But different people call it different things. I specifically remember, this ain't really good or bad thing, this is a thing in general. In GT Sport Closed Beta, the curbstones, I'll just use the name that they use for it, on Dragon Trail were bigger than they are now. Not really a good or bad thing, it just was. At least that's actually something that's physically changing, and it kind of sort of makes a difference because it's how much runoff you can use, so therefore it determines the speed of turns. Trees don't matter, especially making them smaller, apparently. Jiminy Cricket! There were curbstones that were wider than cars. Okay, see, I get what they're referencing here. I'm assuming everyone watching this video has ran Deep Forest in some iteration of Gran Turismo. On the forward layout, one of the early turns, it's like an S-curve. The first half of the S-curve, it's relatively low speed. There's like a full curbstone, what they're calling it, there where you can fit your whole car on. And that one is kind of iffy because in time trials, it's iffy on how much you use. Yet in online, generally everybody always uses all of it. So that is kind of iffy. I still don't necessarily think that should fully explain why a track's not in the game. But wait, what makes me not even be able to take that to heart at all is the cotton picking tree thing. No. No. I'll read on, but that's no. If we want to bring that into the quality of GT Sport now, there is a lot we have to redesign, and that's not that easy. Duh. Why didn't you just say that to begin with? Why did you start out with trees? Did you say trees and curbstones just to mask the fact that really the main reason it ain't in the game is because they just haven't done it yet? I can be cynical and just say it's them being lazy. I can be positive and say it's because they're focusing on other more important things, but I think realistically it's kind of in the middle. Tracks are important in a way, other stuff is important in other ways, so it's kind of hard to make everything at the same time because different people like different things. Trees are not something people care enough about to make that the thing they put before the cotton picking this. No. Moving on. The issue with some of the original services and other plans taking their place. I guess there's some issues that are legitimate, as in they just don't look as good. The overall appeal, they're not as HDified or whatever. Not the trees, not the trees, not the trees, not the trees. One in particular that resonates with the fans, reminiscent of the old ones, is Dragon Trail. Yeah, sure, it seems like a lot of people like Dragon Trail. I don't know how it really like resembles old tracks. I mean, it has a mountain. That's about it. There's a whole heck of a heap of tracks, even real tracks with mountains, though. That's not. Whatever, I'll read on. Maybe this is them looking to the future, and I'll try to be positive again, but trees. I'm never getting over that. It's going to be a running joke from now on. That is. The trees are too big. Strangely, for the original circuit, Dragon Trail being Canada. Yeah, that can make sense. Canada has mountain. Canada has trees that are too big. Canada exists. That makes sense. I mean, Matterhorn, real place, Dragon Trail. I wouldn't have figured by the name it would have been in Canada, but whatever. Some people even say that Trial Mountain is sort of kind of real. Some people even say the layout of Deep Forest is sort of kind of real. Like somebody found a track in real life that sort of kind of looks like Deep Forest. So different people can take that in different ways. I kind of don't think Trial Mountain is real, given it has a Loch Ness Monster in the track. Spoiler alert. If y'all didn't know that by now, though. But, yeah, I'm still not taking it seriously. It's just a fantastic place. Blah, blah, blah. They're talking about Dragon Trail. That's nice and all, but we have Dragon Trail. Can we get some stuff that we don't have? We already know about what we do have. When something is recreated as a game compared to real life, it's not as impressive. I mean, I guess, but they're getting there, ain't they? I've never necessarily complained about how real life track looked in 6, and I definitely ain't in sport. Some people say it does truly look as good as real life now. I'm not really far from saying that. I don't have a 4K TV. Maybe it truly and really does in 4K. Maybe it truly does in virtual reality. Maybe it truly does on a Pro. But we don't know till we have this stuff. Why not just go ahead and recreate it and see how it looks instead of just giving excuses for not? You don't know till you try, so just go ahead and try. Nonetheless, it's gonna be good. It already was. Don't just say the trees are too big. Just do it. Fix the cotton-picking trees. Fix the cotton-picking curbs. Fix the cotton-picking tracks themselves. Make them look pretty. You know what? Big trees aren't going to make a track not look pretty, in my opinion. Neither are the curbstones. Honestly, neither is even like the HD stuff. I'd honestly be fine if they directly ported some tracks. I just want to race on the tracks with the new game. I don't think they're going to go with that. I sort of already made a video on porting with cars. I assume tracks would be basically the same thing. But even so, whatever they end up doing is going to be fine. Just do it and quit complaining. Yeah, Dragon Trail looks pretty. Okay, this is the final little bit here. In conclusion, a different track that we probably ain't even going to get. Helger, the location is incredible. Yeah, that track has weird memories. They're not really fun. They're not really not fun. Remember when they were pushing that track tons in the GT5 early stuff, like Demo Prologue, that was like a downloadable content thing from PlayStation Store that was free. And then the Prologue itself, it was like one of the few tracks in it. Like literally in 2006, there was like a demo that came out that it was just a Ferrari 599 on that track. And yet now it basically doesn't really exist. It's not even that popular for the people that use it in 6, and 6 is ending, and then it probably ain't even going to be in sport. Even though apparently it looks fantastic. And rant over. I could go on this for days. But the trees are too big, so we ain't going to be getting some tracks for a while. It's literally what they said. Literally what they said. The trees are too big. Yeah. Trees are too big. If we get these tracks, it'll eventually be worth a yeehaw, but as of now, the trees are too big, so it's not. Till the trees shrink, it's not worth a yeehaw. trees.